The galaxy had many rulers, but none were as feared as the alien queen. Her name alone could make entire planets tremble. She was not cruel by choice, but her anger was a force no one could control. Even her closest advisors spoke in whispers, afraid that a single wrong word could trigger her rage. Many alien nobles had tried to approach her, hoping to earn her favor or even marry her, but all had fled in terror. They called her the Storm Queen, and everyone avoided her when she roared. The queen lived in a palace high above the clouds of her home world. The palace floated, held by powerful energy fields, and was surrounded by gardens that glowed with strange light. The walls of the palace were covered in strange metals and jewels that reflected her mood. When she was calm, the walls shimmered in soft blues and greens. But when anger came, the walls glowed red, a warning to everyone that she was near her breaking point. Inside the palace, the queen sat on her throne, her long hands gripping the edges tightly. She was tall, taller than any human, and her eyes shone like molten silver. Her hair flowed like liquid metal, and her skin had the faint glow of the stars. She did not wish to frighten others, but the rage within her often became too strong. She had tried to hide it, tried to control it, but nothing worked. Every time someone came near her with hope or admiration, her anger would rise and they would run away. The advisors watched from behind tall screens. Some were old and wise, others young and eager, but all were silent. None could speak up. The queen's guards stood ready, their weapons pointed to protect, yet they did not move unless she gave the order. No one dared make a mistake. Even the servants walked quickly and quietly, their heads bowed, afraid that a small sound could trigger her fury. Outside the palace, stories of the queen's anger spread across the galaxy. Ships carrying merchants, nobles, and adventurers would pass her planet, and each traveler would whisper tales of her terrifying temper. "Do not approach," they said. "She will destroy you without a thought." Parents warned their children. Friends warned friends. Even other rulers respected her from a distance. Some thought she was cursed, others believed she was a goddess of war, but no one truly understood her pain. The queen, despite her fearsome reputation, felt a deep loneliness. She watched the stars at night and wondered why no one could stay near her. She wished for friendship, for someone who could understand her. But every time hope appeared, it disappeared quickly. Visitors would come, try to speak with her, and then run screaming. Even her own family, far away in other systems, kept their distance. Her rage was like a wall that no one could cross. In the court, a young alien noble tried once to approach. He bowed and spoke softly, his voice like music, but the queen's anger flared instantly. He backed away, stumbling, and ran from the palace before anyone could stop him. The court murmured among themselves, some shaking their heads, others sighing. This was not the first time, and it would not be the last. The queen's anger was a storm that could not be predicted. The queen did not like this. She did not want to scare people away. She wanted company. She wanted someone to talk to, someone to share her thoughts and feelings. But the more she tried, the worse it became. Her body reacted to emotions differently than other species. Small frustrations would grow into full-blown fury. She had scientists and healers try to find a cure, but none worked. They could calm her for minutes, maybe an hour, but the rage always returned. One day, a ship arrived at the palace docks. It was small and worn, carrying a human crew. Humans were known in the galaxy for their unpredictability, their cleverness, and their courage. Most alien species regarded them with curiosity, sometimes with disdain. The crew came to repair some damaged equipment in the palace docks. They were not noble, not rich, and certainly not trained to deal with queens. Among them was a mechanic, a quiet man who watched everything carefully. He did not speak much, and when he did, it was simple and thoughtful. The court noticed the humans but paid them little attention. They were just workers after all. The queen was busy in her throne room, her mood tense, her hands clenching the arms of her chair. The humans moved carefully, doing their job, unaware of the stories and fear that surrounded them. The mechanic noticed patterns that others ignored. The way the queen's breathing changed, how her eyes flickered with light, how her hands twitched. He did not fear her. Instead, he wondered what caused her anger. The advisors whispered among themselves. "Do not let the humans get close," they said. "Do not provoke her." But the mechanic was not there to provoke. He was there to fix, to understand, and to help. He had no idea that this simple act could be the first step in changing everything. For the first time in many cycles, the queen felt the galaxy watching her. She did not like it. She wanted silence, peace, and no interruptions. Yet she also felt a strange curiosity. Who were these humans? Why did they not run like all the others? The queen did not know that the answer would come sooner than she expected. The galaxy had sent someone different this time. Someone who might see her not as a storm to fear, but as a being who needed understanding. And so, the queen sat, watching the stars from her high throne, not knowing that the arrival of a quiet human mechanic was about to change everything. She did not yet know that her rage might meet something no one else could give, a simple human touch, calm and steady, that could reach her heart where no alien had ever gone. The court waited, the palace hummed with strange energy, and the queen's anger pulsed like a warning light. But somewhere in the dockyards, a human mechanic prepared his tools, unaware that he was about to enter the most dangerous room in the galaxy, where fear and loneliness had ruled for cycles. And for the first time, a small hope glimmered, not in weapons, not in technology, not in politics, but in simple courage and understanding. The human mechanic moved carefully through the palace corridors. His boots made soft sounds on the glowing floor. He had never been inside such a place before. The walls shone with colors he had never seen, and the air hummed with strange energy. He felt small here, but he was not afraid. Humans often face challenges larger than themselves, and he had learned to stay calm. His job was simple: repair the energy conduits that powered the floating gardens. The court had called it urgent, and the queen's advisors had warned him, "Do not make mistakes." He nodded quietly. Mistakes could be dangerous, but he was confident in his work. He checked the tools on his belt and moved forward. As he walked, he noticed the palace guards watching him closely. They were tall and armored, their eyes glowing faintly. They whispered among themselves, curious why a human was not trembling like everyone else. He ignored them. He had work to do, and he had learned a long time ago that fear slowed the mind. He reached the first energy panel. It was damaged, sparks flying from thin metal wires. The human studied it carefully. He understood machines. They followed rules. They did not hide their feelings. He smiled faintly. Perhaps the queen could be like a machine, he thought, something that could be fixed if you understood the problem. Suddenly, a tremor shook the palace. The queen's anger flared. Alarms rang, warning lights flashed red, and the walls shimmered with furious light. The guards froze. Some whispered, "Do not go near her." Others prayed silently. The human paused but did not run. He had seen anger before. He had seen storms. And he had learned that storms could be weathered. Through the palace windows he saw the queen. She was standing on her throne, tall and glowing with fury. Her hands clenched tight, and her eyes burned like molten metal. Her rage pulsed through the palace like electricity, making the walls shake. He did not understand all the reasons for her anger, but he could see the pain beneath it. It was not just power. It was frustration, loneliness, and fear. The human finished repairing the first panel quickly, then moved to the second. He worked silently, carefully. Sparks flew, wires hummed, but he stayed focused. Others ran, hiding in corners or behind screens. But he kept moving, calmly fixing what was broken. The court watched in amazement. No one had ever seen a human face the queen's fury without trembling. As he worked, he noticed more details. The queen's hands trembled slightly when she reached for her throne. Her breathing was uneven. Her eyes were sharp, but there was something sad in them. He realized she was not just angry. She was overwhelmed. Humans often felt this way too, but they had ways to calm themselves. Perhaps she needed something similar, a simple touch, a sign that someone understood. A guard whispered, "She will notice you. Step back." The human shook his head. He could not step back. Fear did not help anyone, and running would change nothing. He kept repairing the conduits, his hands steady, his mind calm. He thought, maybe she is not meant to be feared. Maybe she just needs someone to see her. The palace trembled again. The queen's anger surged. Energy sparks jumped from walls and the lights flickered. The human finished the repairs. He took a deep breath and looked at the queen. She was watching him. Her eyes were wide, her fury momentarily paused. No one had ever looked at her like this. Not with fear, not with worship, not with flattery. Just calm, quiet attention. The human took another step forward. The guards tensed, but he did not stop. He spoke softly in his own language, hoping the queen could understand. "It is okay. I'm not afraid. I only want to help." His voice was calm, steady, not loud, not commanding. It was different. It was human. For a moment the queen froze. No one had ever spoken to her this way. No one had ever moved toward her without trembling. She felt something unfamiliar, a spark of curiosity, a small flicker of trust. Her rage was still there, but it was not the only thing she felt. She felt seen. The human walked closer. The palace seemed to hold its breath. Advisors whispered quietly among themselves, unsure what to do. The guards raised their weapons, ready to protect or attack if needed. But the human ignored them all. He only looked at the queen, noticing her pain, her loneliness, her need for understanding. The queen's glow began to change. The red of her anger mixed with silver and blue, softening slightly. She did not understand why, but something about this human was different. He did not fear her. He did not want power. He did not speak of her rage or her storms. He only came closer, steady and calm. The human reached out his hands, not to touch her yet, only to show he meant no harm. "You are not alone," he said softly. His voice was quiet, but it carried more power than any weapon in the palace. "I understand that you are angry, but I can help. I can be here for you." The queen's eyes widened further. No one had ever spoken like this. No one had ever dared to approach. She felt the tiniest bit of trust. Her body relaxed just slightly, her hands unclenching. The energy in the palace hummed differently. The walls' furious red glow softened. For the first time in many cycles, she felt that someone might truly see her. The human paused, waiting. Not demanding, not threatening, not pleading. Just waiting. His calm presence filled the room, and even the court felt it. The queen's anger did not disappear, but it softened. Something had changed. Perhaps for the first time she was not alone. The human looked at her again. "I can help," he said simply. And in that simple human way, he prepared to do something no one else had ever done. Show the alien queen that not all beings feared her, and that even the greatest storm could meet calm, steady courage. The court watched silently, holding their breath. The palace hummed with strange energy. And somewhere in the queen's mind, a thought appeared for the first time in a long while. Maybe this human is different. Maybe I do not have to be alone anymore. The human mechanic walked slowly toward the throne room. His tools were in hand, but he did not need them for what he was about to do. The palace felt alive with energy. Every wall shimmered, every floor panel hummed. The court and guards watched nervously, whispering among themselves. None had ever seen anyone approach the queen like this. The queen sat on her throne, towering and radiant, her silver eyes blazing with anger. Her glow pulsed red with fury, and her hands trembled. She had expected fear, hesitation, or maybe even retreat. But this human moved forward calmly. She felt a strange mix of curiosity and alarm. How could someone not fear her? How could anyone walk toward her without running? The human took another step. The guards stiffened, ready to act. The advisors whispered warnings. "Do not go near her. She is dangerous." Yet he ignored them all. He did not come to fight or to beg. He came simply to help. Humans often face situations that were impossible or terrifying. They had a way of staying calm when the world screamed at them. That was why he was not afraid. The queen's anger surged suddenly, her aura expanding, making the walls glow deeper red. Sparks ran along the floors. Energy alarms rang loudly. The humans and aliens in the room flinched. Some hid behind pillars. None dared to move closer. But the mechanic kept walking. His heart was steady, his mind clear. He could feel her pain beneath the rage. This was not hatred. This was loneliness, frustration, and fear. He reached the last few steps. The glow from her anger lit his face, but he did not falter. His eyes met hers, not with awe, not with flattery, but with understanding. "I am not afraid," he said softly, his voice calm. "I only want to help." The queen froze. The entire room held its breath. No one had ever spoken to her this way. No one had ever dared to say such words. She did not know what to feel. Rage still pulsed through her, but beneath it, a flicker of curiosity grew. How could this creature be so brave? How could he look at her without fear? The human took another small step forward. The guards tensed, ready to act, but the mechanic did not threaten. He did not speak louder. He only moved with careful confidence, showing through his calm actions that he meant no harm. Humans had a way of showing trust without words. The queen felt it and could not ignore it. The palace seemed to respond to his presence. The red glow softened slightly, the hum of energy became gentler. Even the floating gardens flickered with softer light. The advisors and guards exchanged nervous glances. Something was happening that none of them had seen in many cycles. The queen's anger was not gone, but it was changing. The human reached out his hands slowly, palms open, showing he came with no weapon, no threat, only understanding. "You do not need to be alone," he said. "I can help. I will not run. I will not fear you." His voice was quiet, steady, and firm. It carried a simple truth. Sometimes courage is not loud. Sometimes it is calm, patient, and gentle. The queen's eyes widened. Her rage pulsed less strongly, replaced by confusion. No one had ever approached her with such courage. She felt something unfamiliar, a tiny spark of trust. Her body relaxed slightly, and her glowing aura shifted from bright red to a mix of red and soft silver. She could not understand it, but she felt a change inside her. The human paused, waiting. He did not demand anything. He did not move faster. He only stood there, calm and ready. In that moment he understood what the queen needed. Not commands, not weapons, not flattery. She needed someone to be steady, someone to face her without fear, someone who could see the pain behind the storm. For the first time the queen spoke, her voice trembling but not angry. "Who are you?" she asked. Her words were soft, almost fragile. No one had ever heard her speak like this in the presence of others. Her court and guards froze, listening closely. The mechanic smiled faintly. "I am a human," he said simply. "I repair things. Sometimes I can fix what is broken." He looked around, not at the court, not at the guards, but at her. "I see that you are not only powerful. You are struggling. I can help." The queen did not understand everything he said, but she understood his meaning. He did not fear her. He did not flee. He did not seek advantage. He simply offered help. Her anger softened further, and a quiet feeling began to grow: hope. She had waited many cycles for someone who could understand her. Perhaps this was the first. The human took another small step, closing the distance carefully. The queen's glow now included soft silver and faint blue, colors she had not shown in decades. Her body relaxed. She felt a strange warmth, as if the tension in her muscles was melting. The court whispered among themselves. They had never seen her calm like this. The mechanic paused again, giving her space. "I am not here to hurt you," he said softly. "I only want to be near you. I want to help you feel safe." The queen blinked, unsure what to do. Rage had ruled her life for so long, and no one had ever faced her without fear. But now, in front of her, was someone human, brave in the quietest way. She could feel her anger fading slowly, replaced by a strange trust. She had never imagined this could happen. The room was silent. The guards did not move. The advisors did not speak. Even the palace seemed to hold its breath. The human stood calmly, ready to meet whatever came next, knowing that fear could fail, but courage, quiet courage, could succeed. For the first time, the queen thought not of power, not of fear, but of connection. She realized that maybe, just maybe, she did not have to face her storms alone. And somewhere deep inside, she wondered if this small human could teach her something no alien had ever learned, that calm and understanding could be stronger than fear. The queen's eyes softened as the human mechanic stood before her. His calmness was strange, unlike anything she had ever experienced. No alien had dared to face her without trembling. No one had ever stayed when her fury burned like fire. Yet here he was, steady and quiet, looking at her not with fear, not with awe, but with understanding. The palace hummed with energy, brighter and softer than before. The red glow of her anger mixed with silver and blue, reflecting her inner change. The guards remained frozen, unsure what to do. The advisors whispered, but even they paused, sensing something extraordinary was happening. The queen's rage had ruled her for countless cycles, yet now it was shifting. The human took a small step closer. His hands were open, showing he came with nothing but respect and care. He smiled faintly, a gentle human smile that carried reassurance rather than command. "You do not have to be alone," he said softly. "I am here. I'm not afraid of you. I only want to help." The queen stared at him, feeling emotions she had long buried. Anger, frustration, loneliness, they all mixed together in her chest. She had expected fear, she had expected retreat, but not this. Not someone so brave, so calm, so human. She felt a flicker of hope she had not felt in centuries. Perhaps she was not cursed. Perhaps she was not doomed to rage forever. The human took another step, closing the distance slowly. He understood that approaching too quickly could frighten her. Humans often learn patience, waiting for trust to grow. He waited now, allowing the queen to decide how much of herself she would reveal. He did not speak again, his calm presence speaking more than words ever could. The queen's glow continued to change. The red softened, leaving silver and soft blue shining around her. Her hands unclenched. Her breathing evened. She realized she was not trembling, not quivering, not filled with dread. She was watching someone face her without fear, and it made her feel safe. A feeling she had forgotten. A feeling she had thought impossible. The guards and advisors remained tense, but slowly they began to understand. Fear had never solved anything. The human mechanic's courage was different. It was not loud, not violent, not aggressive. It was quiet, steady, and human. And the queen responded. Slowly she rose from her throne, standing taller, not in rage but in wonder. She had waited for someone to see her, to truly see her, and now, perhaps, it had happened. The human extended his arms gently. It is okay, he said softly. You do not need to fight alone. You do not need to hide from everyone. I am here. I will not leave. His voice was calm, strong in its simplicity. It carried a human power that the queen had never known, empathy. For a moment the queen hesitated. She had ruled with fury and power for so long, never trusting anyone. Touch had been dangerous, trust had been impossible. But now she felt a strange warmth, a quiet light in her chest. She realized that no one had ever offered her understanding without fear. And this human, this small, quiet human, was offering it freely. Slowly, carefully, the queen allowed herself to move forward. The human did not rush. He waited patiently, allowing her to take the first step if she wished. She did. She stepped closer, her hands trembling slightly, her heart racing, but not with anger. She felt something she had not felt in centuries: relief, safety, and a spark of trust. The human reached out gently and hugged her. Not tightly, not aggressively, but simply, warmly, humanly. The queen froze at first, shocked. No one had ever dared touch her like this. But the human did not pull away. He held her with calm strength, giving her a moment to feel that she was not alone, that she could be vulnerable and still be safe. Something extraordinary happened. The queen's rage melted away, replaced by a soft glow of silver and blue. Her anger, her loneliness, her fear, all of it softened under the human's quiet courage and warmth. For the first time she felt something pure: connection. She felt the power of understanding, of trust, of empathy flowing between them. The court watched in awe. Guards lowered their weapons. Advisors whispered in disbelief. No one had ever seen the queen calm in this way. No one had ever touched her without fear. And yet here she stood, embracing a human. The impossible had happened. The galaxy had witnessed a moment that could change everything. The queen stepped back slightly, still holding the human's hands. She looked at him, her silver eyes shining with gratitude. You are different, she said softly. No one has ever helped me like this. The human smiled. I am human, he said simply. We see things differently. We do not always fear what we do not understand. Sometimes we try to help. The queen's advisors gasped. The guards blinked. The palace seemed to hum with new energy. It was not fear, not power, not rage. It was connection. Something the galaxy had never expected. The queen realized something important. Strength was not only in power, weapons, or fury. Strength could be in understanding, patience, and care. And humans had a kind of strength that no alien had ever truly seen. For the first time the queen smiled. Not a small smile, not a forced smile, but a real one. She felt lighter, calmer, and even hopeful. She looked at the human and nodded. Stay with me, she said quietly. I want you near me. The human nodded. I will stay, he said softly. I am here to help. Always. And in that moment the impossible happened. The galaxy's most feared queen, the Storm Queen, had found someone who could calm her. Someone who could face her without fear. And the human mechanic had shown that courage and kindness, simple human courage and kindness, could change even the hardest hearts in the universe. The palace hummed with a new energy. The walls shimmered in soft blues and silvers. The queen's glow was no longer red, no longer dangerous. It was calm, bright, and alive. And the galaxy began to realize something extraordinary. Humans, though small and simple, had a power no one else had. The power to change hearts, even the heart of a queen. The palace was quiet now, but it was a different kind of quiet. Not the tense, fearful silence of before, but calm and gentle, filled with possibility. The queen stood on her throne, her silver eyes bright and soft. The human mechanic remained close, quietly observing, ready to help whenever needed. The court, the advisors, and even the guards were stunned. They had never seen the queen so peaceful, so open, so alive. The queen looked around the room. For the first time, she said softly, I do not feel alone. I do not feel afraid of myself. Her voice carried not anger but wonder. This human has shown me something I never thought possible. The court listened amazed. They had expected power, fury, and control. Instead they saw trust, understanding, and calm. The human stepped forward, bowing slightly. I did not do anything special, he said simply. I only tried to help. He smiled gently. Sometimes that is enough. His words were simple, but they carried great truth. Humans had a way of acting that did not need grandeur or strength. Their courage often came from quiet actions, small decisions, and steady hearts. The queen considered this. She had spent countless cycles surrounded by fear, by people who flattered her, obeyed her, or hid from her. But now she realized that fear alone did not create loyalty, nor did power create understanding. Only connection, only calm courage could reach someone like her. And humans had this in abundance. She turned to her advisors. "From this day forward, humans will be welcomed in my empire," she said, her voice firm but gentle. "They will no longer be seen as weak or unimportant. They have a power that no weapon, no army, no machine can match." The advisors exchanged glances. Some were surprised, some skeptical, but all realized that the queen spoke with a clarity and calm they had never witnessed. The guards, too, were instructed to change their approach. They were no longer to treat humans with suspicion or caution. Instead, they were to observe, learn, and protect them as they would the queen herself. The palace, once tense with fear, began to feel lighter. The walls shimmered in silver and soft blue, reflecting the calm of the queen and the presence of the human mechanic. Across the galaxy, word spread of what had happened. Other species were amazed that the feared Storm Queen had been calmed by a human. Scientists and scholars studied humans more closely. They tried to understand how a seemingly simple species could influence one of the most powerful beings in the universe. They discovered that humans had a natural ability to calm, to understand, and to connect in ways others could not. The human mechanic continued his work in the palace, but his role changed. He was no longer just a repairman. He became a trusted advisor, a friend, and a symbol. Other humans were invited to visit, to study, and to interact with the queen and her court. They were treated with respect, not because of technology or wealth, but because of their unique courage and empathy. The queen, once feared by all, began to rule differently. She learned that strength was not only in rage or power, but in trust and connection. She began to listen more, to understand more, and to act with patience. Her anger still existed, but it no longer ruled her life. She had learned that even the strongest storms could meet calm, steady courage and transform into something beautiful. The court slowly adapted to this new way of life. Advisors learned to approach problems with empathy. Guards learned to see strength not only in power but in patience and understanding. And the palace itself seemed to breathe differently, no longer a place of fear, but a place of growth, learning, and hope. The human mechanic never sought recognition or reward. He did not desire titles or glory. He continued to repair and maintain the palace systems, quietly ensuring everything worked smoothly. But his presence was enough to change the queen's heart. His calm courage and steady care reminded everyone that humans had a power beyond weapons, strategy, or speed. They had the power of understanding. As cycles passed, other humans visited the empire. They shared their knowledge, their simple courage, and their steady hearts. The queen welcomed them all, learning more about humans with every encounter. The galaxy began to see humans not as weak or insignificant, but as a species with quiet power, power that could calm storms, inspire trust, and unite even the most divided worlds. The queen often looked at the human mechanic, grateful for his courage. "You have shown me," she said softly one day, "that strength is not always loud and courage is not always obvious. Humans have something rare and valuable, the ability to change hearts." He nodded simply, smiling. "It is what we do," he said. "We face challenges not with fear but with care." The palace gardens glowed softly in the evening light. The floating towers shimmered in silver and blue. The queen ruled with wisdom and patience. The humans continued to interact with her court, helping, observing, and learning. And the galaxy began to understand a truth that had been overlooked for centuries. The quiet strength of humans could change everything. The legend spread far and wide. The Storm Queen, once feared by all, had been calmed by a human. Her rage had been met not with weapons, not with tricks, not with flattery but with courage and empathy. And the galaxy learned that sometimes the smallest, simplest actions, like understanding, kindness, and calm, could have the greatest power of all. In the end, the human mechanic continued his life quietly, repairing, observing, and helping. But his impact was immense. He had shown that humans could face the impossible without fear, that their courage was not in strength alone, and that their quiet, steady hearts could transform even the most powerful beings in the universe. The queen smiled often now, her silver eyes bright and calm. The galaxy thrived in a new era, one where humans were respected not for their weapons or machines, but for their courage, understanding, and the quiet power of their hearts. And it all began with one human who dared to walk toward the Storm Queen and simply offer his understanding.